Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about Tactical Marines or Gabriel Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and would probably be ignored. But if you do learn something useful, count it as a win.
Welcome to a 3 Grot special, guys. Today we're actually talking about Blood Angels. It's been a little while since we've made some army lists. We're all in different sort of mindsets with 9th edition. So I think that would be fair to say. So before we get started, though, we've all built an army list. And I did say to Mark to think long and hard.
This was a Patreon request as well from one of our supporters who asked us to do this. Mr. James Gibb, I think.
Cool.
Yep.
Thanks, James. Mark, you have one guess. Tony's going to present his list first. You have to guess a unit in Tony's list.
I mean, there's the easy, obvious thing that is blatantly going to be in his list. But
I mean, the brief was a fun list. Our coolest Blood Angels list.
I'm not going to say what I expect to be in there, and I'm going to say what I hope is in there instead.
Okay, what do you hope is in there?
I hope you've written a list of the Thunderhawk.
We'll find out in a minute.
But I expect you've written a list of Dreadnoughts.
That's actually pretty... He knows you too well.
He does know me very well, which is quite disturbing, really. But yeah, so the brief was we had to write what we thought was the coolest list. And we did set a couple of rules just so it wasn't completely open. So I think we said 2,000 points. We're going to ignore Nephilim with the CP starts and that. But I don't even think I remember to put Warlord traits on relics on mine. I can't remember.
You could do it Nephilim.
I don't give a shit.
Non-Nephilim, whatever. At this point, it's kind of
it wasn't really that sort of thing. So we've come up with what we think is our coolest sort of 2K list. Not
this
strongest,
what
not
most
competitive. Not this is just what we think is the coolest.
And I think I'm gonna play this list that I've written at some point because it's gonna be fun and it's gonna be a laugh.
And I'll show you why in a minute. So on that note, it is legal. It's not that it's not legal, but I'll tell you why when we get to it.
You just don't own everything or something.
I'm going to play my list, but I need to wait for my commission to come back. But I'm definitely going to play it as well.
Fair.
So hopefully this is going to pop up.
Yes,
can you guys see that?
Yeah, 100%.
Wicked. So I can see that John forgot to put Mark on here because he's a dick.
Well, he's made his own slides. I would have put him on it if he joined my slides. He's made his own ones.
He was very insistent that we don't go on his slides. So
yeah,
I don't know what's
so
going
there's
on
something magical on these slides.
It's not majorly magical. You just I don't. You wouldn't press the buttons to move on from one slide to the next one. I'd want to press the buttons to move on from one slide to the next. So that's all it is.
So we need you a gizmo.
Yeah, that'll do.
Cool.
Okay, so it's my list first. Now I'm going to guess that this is a John PowerPoint presentation, so pictures are illegal. John doesn't do jazzy. So let's find out if John jazzed it or just puts a wall of text. It's a wall of text.
Woohoo! It's salt-coloured wall of text.
So this is my list then. And
I made a dark mode. Come on, dark mode's like the new hip.
So for me, coolest is, I want to say also kind of fluffy. It's got a real strong theme to it. And you can do whatever you want as long as you've got a really strong theme. And what I absolutely don't like, unless you're going to run it with the Sanguinor and Dante, is 21 Sanguinary Guard or all of the Sanguinary Guard and all of the Death Company and a Whirlwind, which is what we're seeing at the moment. I just think it's dull as all fuck. So I wanted to do something that was fun and fluffy, and I don't give a shit if it wins or loses a game because it'll probably lose. So to do that, I've gone with this kind of idea of Mephiston going out on one of his missions. Now, I've read the Mephiston books, and he goes off on the Blood Oath or whatever it is and does shit. So I tried to base it around that idea, and I thought, what would he have with him? So I've led it with Mephiston. It looks like I have given him his Warlord trait. Don't know why.
Because he's the Warlord.
Because he's the Warlord, so he's got a trait. There you go. Because it wouldn't make any sense not to lead it with Mephiston.
Yes.
And he's got wings because it's just cool flying around being Mephiston.
Yeah.
I've got Primaris Tech.
He's got to have wings. Wings is awesome.
Exactly. I've got Primaris Tech Marine, and that's because in my head canon, he's piloting the Thunderhawk that you can see in the Lord of War slot. And then what I've done here is I've got a little squad of intercessors, because if you read the books again, he has a little squad of intercessors with him. I wanted a lieutenant, but I couldn't do that. And the Tech Marine just felt like it fit a bit better with the big Thunderhawk in there. I've got a Terminator Assault Squad. It's 5 strong. It's got Thunderhammers. Sorry, no, it's 6 strong. It's got Thunderhammer, a couple of Thunderhammers, a couple of Lightning Claws. I've got a little Death Company, again, because in that book, there's that bit where the people start going mental because they're near Mephiston, and that's kind of, they weren't Death Company when he started this.
Yep. You're talking about Darkness in the Blood, right?
I am. And then I've got 3 Landspeeder Tempests and a Storm Talon. Now, if you pay close attention, you will notice that everything in this list fits inside the Thunderhawk, except for the Storm Talon, that's its wingman, and the 3 Tempests, which are the land speeders that can actually fly and not just land speed.
Yep.
So the game starts and everything is flying alongside the transport with the entire army in it. And then they can swoop in.
The Thunderhawk is one of the very few things in the game that can carry Primaris and Firstborn.
Okay, cool.
So that means they all fit in there. And that's just cool to me.
That is actually very cool.
Yeah,
the
only
whole question,
speed.
Yep. The only question is going to be is the deployment zone big enough for the Thunderhawk?
If we play on the diagonal ones, yes. Maybe. I don't know. We can only hope. Every time I've used it, it's not fit in, or I've had to put it at a weird angle or something like that. But the point was coolest army. And to me, that's all about a story. Because a Dreadnought army is also wicked, but it's hard to tell a story with a Dreadnought army. You can, but you've got to force it a little bit. And now is the reason that I said I can't run this, and I wish I could. I only own 1 Landspeeder Tempest, and it's gone off sale. You can't buy them anymore.
Oh, really?
I'm sure you could use other land speeders and say they're Tempests.
It wouldn't feel right. It's got a sealed cockpit, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I suppose it's fair.
It's the sealed-in one, with the little rocket pods
the assault cannon nose, yeah.
Yeah, it's shit.
It is shit.
When did they stop selling those? They were.
Fortunately, stopped selling loads of things over the last.
Yeah,
couple of years.
It wasn't that long ago. It was about 6 months ago. They suddenly put them on last chance to buy, and then that was that. And they said they're not doing them anymore. So this is your last chance to buy this before we stop selling it. So it's like, I've got 1, but I've only got 1, which is sad because otherwise I would definitely run this. And the other problem is I had an earlier version of this that I made months ago, but now can't run that either because it's now got 3 flyers. Because, of course, they decided that us broken Space Marine players with our Storm Talon gunships and Thunderhawk gunships were breaking the game with them all. So we can't do what I was doing, which was running 2 Storm Talons and a Thunderhawk as like an air wing.
Yeah.
And I thought that looked wicked on the table as well. Because, yeah, we broke the game when we did that. Bastards that we are. So, yeah, that was I think this is the coolest list ever.
Someone was asking me, is boots on the ground still a rule in 9th edition at the tournament that I was at this weekend? But, I was like...
How do you mean?
Well, remember there used to be a rule where, if you didn't have any boots on the ground, as in, your whole army was just flyers, everything that you had on the ground was dead, you just lost the game. I think it was an 8th edition rule.
Yeah, that's a long ago rule now.
That's gone now?
Long before 8th edition, even, I think.
I'm fairly sure that's 7th edition, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay. Because someone said to me, is boots on the ground still a rule?
It wasn't that it had to be a flyer. It was if you killed everything, if you lost all of your units that were on the table and the rest of your army was in reserves, then it would count as dead. And that varied edition to edition because there's a very famous there was a really famous tournament that was won by someone with a Groot army, and what they did was they made it so they managed to get a Groot line just 1 model wide across the entire back edge of the table.
Oh yeah,
the opponent army couldn't bring a single model onto the field and lost automatically. And they famously won in turn 1 or 2 or something by doing that. And it caused a bit of a stink at the time. Okay. It was like a completely uninteractive play.
And these days they mitigate it by saying that flyers just flat out can't claim objectives or hold them in any way, shape or form whatsoever.
I see. Okay, so yeah, I honestly couldn't remember, and I wasn't gonna. I actually don't really take my rulebook to events. I mean,
they changed it so that you can't win by tabling your opponent anymore, didn't they?
Yeah.
Have you got one of the small rule books, John?
I just have the rules that they have in chapter approved these days, because they did put like addended rules into chapter approved, right? The new Nephilim book.
Yeah,
they do.
So I don't take the big giant rule book to events. Very rarely you need it, I guess.
You're talking about the big giant hardback rule book.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a version of the rule book that's half that size A5 paperback that you get in the starter sets these days. It's about the size of chapter approved. I take that. It's got all the core rules in it. It's got all the detachments in it. It's got all the crusade rules in it. It's got literally everything that's in the core rule book except the fluff and the painting and the pictures. You can eBay it for like 20 quid out of one of the starter sets if you want these days. It's very convenient.
Yeah, it would be convenient. I think usually at an event there's always somebody that has a rule book though, so you can usually manage to piggyback one.
Yeah.
I take my large one. It's like so full of bookmarks and post-it notes and addendums and stuff like that all over it that I would feel a bit lost if I didn't have it now.
I think I haven't taken my big hardback rulebook off the shelf in, I don't know, probably a year and a half now.
Fair enough.
I ought to get it out and read it and look at all the pictures and stuff again, because it's just sat there.
Anyway, so there's my coolest list. Let's get a shuffle on. This is supposed to be the short video.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
And have a look at John's list. So what do we think is going to be in John's list?
Take it away, John.
Tycho, the Lost.
Unlikely. I would not.
You went with the Death Company version as well, didn't you?
This is my new tournament list. This is my new tournament list, and it's what you would never expect. But I figure we just have to go ham on Death Company Marines for Fury of the Lost. We need a secondary.
So John will be playing this on Wednesday on his next live stream game. So
I can't play this list yet because I'm waiting on my commission for 2 models on page 2.
Which 2? Oh, page 2. Okay, that we haven't seen yet.
Fucking hell.
The Terrax Siege Drill and the Laser Destroyer is what rounds out this list.
Oh, you commissioned them off to somebody else, having got them back from the other person.
I finally got them sent back to me after they sat with the first artist for 6 months. And the person who's doing them now is Mike on the Paint It Red YouTube channel or Twitch channel. And Mike seems super reliable. He messages me more often than I have time to reply to him. He's like, I already painted 3 of your fucking tanks. I'm like, holy shit, Mike. You said they were going to be January. So, so this is what I think. I'll tell you the reasons, right?
What's the principle? What's the inspiration behind it?
Well, first of all, I think that I just want to pick Fury of the Lost and Relentless Assault going into every game, pretty much. Okay. So that just gives me 30 points. And to do that, reliably, we take Lamartez because I guess the thing with Lamartez is he can play Death Visions because he's got badly worded keywords. And I guess Tycho can play Death Visions as well. So you get 2 characters that can do Death Visions, and Death Visions are pretty useful. You also sort of need your Armor Indomitus, Rites of War, Priest, just to add some more OBSEC. I thought I would take heavy Intercessors for a change. And the reason that I thought I would take them, if you notice there, they've got the Hellstorm bolt rifles. That's like the auto bolt rifles, the strength 5.
Really high volume of fire ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you've noticed, Lamartez has catches on fire. So if Lamartez is near those heavy bolt rifle models, then they'll be basically strength 5 with +1 to wound.
Nice.
So that should be pretty sweet. Tycho will be in the Terrax along with the company champion, who has Icon of the Angel. Icon of the Angel lets you reroll charges for not just it's just Blood Angels, no core, no nonsense like that. So you'll be able to reroll the Terrax's charge. You'll be able to reroll Tycho's charge. He's got 8 Death Company in there. You'll notice them. I actually think that's a mistake there where it says 8 times jump pack. Those 8 don't have jump packs because they're too cheap for 144 points.
I thought that Lamartez could only buff Death Company. I thought that was his.
You're right. Yeah, okay. So he's gonna have to buff the Infernal Pistols. No, that's fine. We can still have the Infernal Pistols. They'll get +1 to wound.
Or change Pistols of fire to something else, whatever you need.
Yeah. So it'll be Tycho, a company champion, 8 Death Company Marines, and then I think
what's on the next page then?
That gives you 4 units. The Terrax, the Whirlwind, the Laser Destroyer. So what that gives you is you've got 5 Death Company units, right? So even if they just all die in different turns, that's 5 points instantly. You've killed two units with Death Company, that's 10 points. Relentless Assault, you're going to try and put the Terrax into the enemy's deployment zone. And then Tycho, 8 Death Company, and a Company Champion are coming out of that. So that gives you 4 units for Relentless Assault. You can do that from turn 2. I'd argue most enemies are not going to have 4 units in the Blood Angels deployment in turn 2, right? So if they leave a space big enough for the Terrax, everything's in their deployment zone, and then everything can reroll their charge, including the Terrax. Meanwhile, I guess I've got 2 Death Company and Lamartas hitting them from the front. Heavy Intercessors maybe to try and like hold middle. I don't know. It seems something completely different. I should also say there's
list. You should give it a go. But I like the fact that you've even though we've gone right the coolest list, you've still got your competitive hat on.
Yeah, you're analysing it. You're working out how you can competitively win with it.
Whereas I'm just like big flying thing. Cool.
This is what is fun for John. So, and that's cool. That's not a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing that's really frustrating me with Blood Angels more than anything is that if, and a lot of people on the channel have said this to me, like if like. I don't want to build a list that's 3 Death Company and 3 Sandguard, and that's it, right? Like, there's no, I don't have any flavor that I can put on the list. That's just what I have to run to win events. I'm not going to do it. I don't find it fun. I had more fun building this, and no one will expect this. Like, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. I suppose.
Yeah. I think this is wicked. I would run this list absolutely. This is exactly the sort of thing that I would play with.
And the one last thing to say is, I don't know if you know this because it doesn't come up like ever. Tycho has a Meltagun. A Terrax has 5 Meltaguns. So I guess you've got 6 Melta shots when the Terrax arrives. And then Tycho's aura for Death Company rules is actually 9 inches, as opposed to 6 for, I don't know, whatever random reason. So if Tycho fails his charge and the Death Company make their charge, they still get to reroll the ones.
Stringing back isn't too much of a big deal. Yeah. Cool.
That's quite nice.
And I actually start on 2 CP as well, so we can Forlorn Fury as well. No problem.
Is that using Vigilus rules?
Well, it's Nephilim.
Nephilim rules, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm really looking forward to getting the Terrax, and I'm trying to figure out what I wanted to put in it. And like, there's lots of things you could put on the Terrax. I think you have to have a character with Icon of the Angel, right? Because like, I think you want the Terrax to make its charge because it gets like
whether it's a chaplain or, I mean, I would do a chaplain because then you could pop them out. You could do the stratagem for commanding oratory to guarantee the +2 to charge and Icon of the Angel, and that's the way I'd want to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that would be slightly more reliable, but here, this way, I've got 5 Death Company models, so I really think Fury of the Lost, like, I can't see myself scoring less than, like, 10 or 12 points with that.
Yeah.
This genuinely, I think this would win games. It's not going to win tournaments, but it'd win games, if that makes sense.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so that's...
I think it's wicked, I love it.
That's what
I look forward to seeing you play it on live stream.
Yeah, I haven't got a Terrax, and I quite want one.
They're £105. I couldn't quite
believe
it.
And the other thing is, I haven't got anything I can put in it apart from some tactical marines because I don't own any Death Company that have got jump packs.
Bloody hell!
So neither do I. So that's what I was building the other night. I'm going to build my spare Indomitus Assault Marines.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say that although they are Primaris size, I'm going to paint them as Death Company, and they're just going to, because surely at some point Death Company intercessors will become good, right? Like that's a thing that's gonna happen. Maybe not happen but
I'm still fairly sure that they are. The only downside with them is their lack of speed compared to jump packs,
and that they can't take enough options.
The volume of attacks makes up for it. I'm still sold on that. But anyway.
So I'm convinced that Death Company... It's the same as me buying, like, I've now bought a Gladiator, I've now bought a Storm Speeder, I guess I'm now going to do Death Company Intercessors. Like, they're going to have... The Primaris stuff cannot be left shit for...
No, you bought the Storm Speeder. I didn't realise you bought a Gladiator. Which Gladiator did you get?
I got Mike to do it, so he magnetised all... I've got all 3 options.
Oh, brilliant.
I mean, Mike's like, he seems really reasonable on his price, and his stuff seems really good. I'll show you a picture of the Gladiator.
Go for it. Which one do you think you're going to run more often, or which variant are you more interested in running?
Highland Phoenix will not let me. Like, if I don't run the Reaper, he's going to kill me.
Is that the
It's just a shit Baal Predator. Don't bow to that. If you're going to run a Baal Predator, run a Baal Predator. Don't be a pussy. Oh,
hello, Tony.
One. It's not cool. not
the,
cool,
the,
John.
the Melta one seems like the one that makes the most sense, yes.
I like
but
the
the thing
laser
is-
one, the big laser destroyer.
I still
one,
like the
that's one.
Lancer. Yeah, the Lancer would be
same.
the one I'm more interested in.
Yeah.
But
I just think the
I think
Vindicator
that big
Laser
gun's
Destroyer is
quite good.
better.
And it's ballistic skill 2 as well from the bus. So
That's
I
true.
think that's quite tasty.
Yeah, that's true.
For the
I like
points
the
you get,
laser
the number of
destroyer.
shots you
I
get.
did buy one.
Yeah, you just got the Laser Destroyer, didn't you?
Yeah, there's mine on the go.
Okay. Well, yeah, Tycho the Lost fooled everybody. No one
Awesome.
expected the Tycho the Lost.
I love it.
Not even slightly.
No, I wouldn't have called that. I absolutely wouldn't have called that.
I was going to say, I think my Tycho's not painted Death Company, so I might have to bash out a new black Tycho, I guess.
I've got a spare Tycho somewhere. I need to paint him up
Yeah.
because I haven't, because he's been dead for so long that.
Yes, he's been dead for as long as Sanguinius at this point.
Comparatively.
Yeah, well, relatively speaking, yes.
Relatively, I suppose, rather than comparatively.
All right,
Go on, then.
this list. We have to guess.
Yeah.
We have to guess something that's cool in his list.
All right, go on then.
Tactical Marines. It's going to have Tactical Marines in it.
It's gonna have a Sanguiner in it.
You've heard our guesses.
Since I got back into 40k after going to uni and having no money and then playing nothing but WoW, deciding that I wanted to have something material left with my time and deciding that I've got disposable income and getting back into War 40k a few years ago. I've been naming all my Blood Angels armies Mortem Etheria. It's just a part of the flavour that I'm doing from them. It's Latin for death from the skies. And it is how I see Blood Angels. They're all about the flying, the wings, the attacking from the skies and stuff. And I think that's all really cool. So part 1 of the list.
Are you going to put your Fire Raptor in this?
It's going to be a battalion. It's as if Mephiston was out on a mission somewhere and he's out on a job and he's doing some investigating. And he's out there with a bunch of infiltrators and some eliminators just scouting things out. And the Inceptors are there because I couldn't fit them in the reserves along with everything else I'm going to put in the reserves. So I had to put them on the ground with Meph and all of his mates. And yeah, they're doing their thing. There has to be 6 infiltrators in there because otherwise it's not half the army in terms of points. So I just had to bump them all up. I gave them Helix Gauntlets because it makes them a little bit more resilient to survive the first turn when they see the enemy coming at them. And then I use upon Wings of Fury to jump the Inceptors up into the air and fly. So I've got to survive a turn with Meph and some infiltrators and some eliminators and all this sort of stuff. And then on turn 2, their reinforcements show up. Drowning, flying from the sky, guns ablaze, engines hot. And Dante lands on turn 2 with the Inceptors that joined him, that fly them. His bodyguard of 7 Sanguinary Guard and a pair of heavily armed Stormraven gunships zooming down from space with a ton of guns blowing the crap out of anything, because I'm totally willing to spend 4 CP on putting both those Stormraven gunships into strategic reserves. So they can appear on the board wherever the fuck they like.
They don't have a death from above rule,
They
Stormraven?
don't.
No flyers do, which is the problem with a bloody Thunderhawk.
Okay.
And they're 310 points each, so that's 620 points in a pair of flyers, which you might think is a lot, but look at the guns they've got.
I mean, they do have good firepower. Their weakness is their toughness.
Oh yeah,
their
absolutely.
armor save.
You can alpha strike them down anywhere on the board because they're starting from strategic reserves. They come down. The Sangard can land and shoot something, charge something next turn, charge something this turn. Dante's going to come down. The Inceptors will come down. He'll have his Warlord trait for the 9-inch or a bubble. He can be near the Inceptors for the rerolls. He can be near the Sangard for the rerolls. The Stormravens can put out a ton of shots. And I just want to focus on the firepower of the Stormravens a bit, because it is actually a bit surprising when I looked at it.
Can I just ask
a
question about the Stormravens? Why can they come down anywhere, not just within 6 inches of a board edge?
Strategic reserves for flyers is different to strategic reserves for anything else.
Oh,
Anything that is an
Okay.
aircraft. Sorry, not strategic reserve for aircraft. They can come down as if they were just anything normally deep strikes down.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay,
It's a
cool.
special rule that not a lot of people use because not a lot of people use flyers and not a lot of people
Apparently,
put them into strategic reserves. because it costs a lot of CP to put them in. Anyway, each Storm Raven has got 2 Hurricane Bolters. They come down, 6 shots per Hurricane Bolter, so 12 shots within half range. That's 24 Bolter shots.
Yes.
You're dropping on turn 2 in Tactical Doctrine, so they'll be doing it AP1.
Yep.
They're not going to kill armies, but that's a fair, nice bit of firepower there.
That's 36 hits on strength 4. They'll kill stuff.
Yeah. Each Storm Raven has got 2 Storm Strike missile launchers.
Okay.
So that's 2 heavy 8, -3 damage shots. Each Storm Raven has got a twin multi-melter, so that's another 4 strength 8, -4 d6 damage shots, doing extra damage in half range.
Yep.
And then the heavy plasma cannon, you can either buff it up to strength 8, because I'd happily take the mortal wounds on that just for rolling a few ones off 2d3 shots. That ain't going to do a lot of damage to a Storm Raven. Or if I want to shoot more elite infantry or more numbers of infantry, I'll do the blast and maybe do the lower powered one and go for the volume of firepower.
So it's double everything you see in this list, basically.
2 Hurricane Bolters, 2 Storm Strike missile launchers, the plasma cannon and the twin multi-melter, and then the same loadout on 2 different Storm Ravens.
On all over again.
All alpha striking wherever the hell I want on the board. And the infiltrators have got their bubble of 12 inches. They're relatively survivable. I'll have room to bring them down.
They're not great, but when you start comparing them up, so my Thunderhawk is 800 points, and they've got a lot more firepower. And they've probably got more survivability as well in the long run. All right, they're not toughness 8 and they're not got a 2-up save, but they've still got armor of contempt and there's 2 of them.
Toughness 7, -1 to hit, so they're not bad.
Yeah, -1 to be hit is nice.
Bad. And they're 180 points cheaper than the Thunderhawk.
Can the Thunderhawk hover? Because Storm Ravens can hover. Okay. And
it ends up doing it because it's so big. If you try and not hover, if you move its minimum distance,
you're going to be flying
off the bloody table.
Yeah. So at that point, yeah, I think I prefer Mark's list for sure. I mean, if you focus that firepower, like 8 multi-melta shots is like the equivalent of like 2 squads of Eradicators.
Yeah.
The plasmas is like the equivalent of 2 Redemptors.
If you're focusing high firepower shots, each Storm Raven is putting out a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 12 strength 8 high AP, high damage shots per Storm Raven.
I was going to say, if you actually like, what is the maximum damage here? Like, if it was, each multi-melta can do 6 + 2, so the maximum from 8 multi-meltas would be like 64. The maximum from the plasmas would be like 6
times 3 times 2.
2, so 48 plus the 84, and then
3 times 2 times 2.
For the missiles, it's another 12, and then the bolters realistically like another 10 damage or something. Yeah, I mean, like this is doing like
it's
the
got some
damage of like 2 Astraeuses in one turn. Yes. What's going to happen is you're going to bring them both down, and one of them's probably just going to get shot back in retaliation. But the turn you actually bring them down in, this is actually a lot better than I expected. This might actually be really good on like a shooting Marine army.
That's why I want to run it. It's going to be a laugh. It's going to come down. It's going to alpha strike something, and it's going to either fail horribly or just have a laugh.
I love it. It's silly and cool, and that's what we were looking for.
Yeah. I like it. It's competitive. Here's our matchup then when I come down. Tycho the loss. I actually think I'd probably lose against this because I don't have enough. I suppose the Death Company, 2 of my 3 Death Company fly, so yeah, I guess I can kill the flyers. But if you came down and killed all my flying units, then I couldn't deal with you.
If I come down on a flank and you can't bring a lot of your army to bear, then yeah.
Yeah, and if you just focus all my flying jetpack guys, then I'm fucked because I've got nothing that can kill that. I can't target it, right?
No. So that's me. That's my cool list I put together because I love the flyers. I'm really sad that they're not that great these days, and I wanted to try and work out something where I could use them.
Yeah, they are. I love flyers. I think, especially Blood Angels flyers. I'm surprised actually you didn't see the Fire Raptor. Did you think about it? Because I know you've got one.
It's not a Fire Raptor. I don't have a Fire Raptor. I've got the other one, the transporty one, the Storm Eagle. Yeah. And the only reason why I didn't is because I know I've got 2 Storm Raven gunships and the guns will fit in there. I'm wasting the points on the transport capacity, but whatever, deal with that. The Storm Talons are cool. Their firepower just isn't
It's not got a
punchy
lot.
enough.
They've not got much
for what I want to do.
gunnage.
I thought very hard about making one of the flyers the Xiphon that is in here.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
But again, because I've only just got the one of them, maybe that and the Storm Eagle would be a cool concept. But
I like them. I don't have a Xiphon. I don't have a Fire Raptor or a Storm Eagle, and I do quite want one because I feel like that would fit quite nicely.
It's an awesome plane. It's really cool.
Do you remember when they had that Horus Heresy and they had the what chapter are you thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you got Blood Angels, it told you to buy a Fire Raptor.
Brilliant.
And I feel that it does really fit with them. So
yeah.
It's been on top of my wish list for a little while. Although you scared me a little bit because you said it's a terrible kit.
I'm given to understand that people who've bought one within the last 6 months or so, a friend of mine specifically went out and got a Storm Eagle or a Fire Raptor, and he said it was beautiful to build and had no issues whatsoever. So maybe they've retooled it or done something to it since then. In which case,
because those calendars I built the other day had
was-
some right shitty.
mine was a nightmare. It had so many gaps. It was really bad to put together. I had to do so much green stuff work to fill in the gaps between where the hull put together, and it just didn't quite fit properly. Yeah, well, it wasn't fun.
I'm slowly working through the giant pile of Forge World stuff that's sitting just above my head at the moment. Trying to get it all built.
Seems fair.
Yeah, some of it's big and scary. There's a Marauder bomber that I need to build, and every time I look at it, I just think, how the fuck am I going to build? Not just how am I going to build it, how is it going to be transported? How is it going to be stored? It's not even mine, it's for a commission. And I said to the guy, I was like, that's great, but when you want me to build it, you need to tell me, because I know you haven't got anywhere to store this, and you have no way of transporting this.
Well, here's the model I put in Brick of Bruz painting competition that I'm going to work on over the next month or so. If
the one that you're also judging
slightly on it, yeah, the one I'm also judging. That's cool.
Is that the game day captain?
It's the Games Day Blood Angel captain. Yeah, and the camera doesn't appear to want to
focus
like it.
Doesn't want to play with that.
Oh, there we go.
There he goes.
Yeah.
Did you put a helmet on him as well? I noticed.
No, there's no helmet. He's bareheaded. It's just base coated. But yeah,
if I make my one, I will put a helmet on him because I hate painting faces.
Is it going to be a Primaris helmet? You fiend!
I was thinking it could be one of these new helmets because I did buy these. Did you guys buy these?
I did not, because they all look like they've had a bad eyebrow job.
Harsh.
Apart from the bareheaded guy, I love the bareheaded guy. I think he looks beautiful.
I think I make some sick-looking Death Company with these.
I did make one of the assault marines in my current assault squad have the beaky helmet and have a chainsaw raised up high and have a plasma pistol out like that. Just cause. You got it.
The beakies are so iconic to me. I love them.
I love beakies. Beakies, absolutely 100% love them, but just not those beakies. Huh?
Yeah, not many people like those new ones. I'd like them.
It's the eyebrows. What the fuck is going on with them? Why has it got eyebrows on a helmet?
It's more like a golden trim. It's an
eyebrow.
Really, it's a golden trim.
They look like they're angry with gold angry eyes.
Well, they fucking are angry. We've seen Horus. Horus.
If you've
they're not the proudest moment, those ones.
If you've enjoyed what you've watched, if you want to influence what we do, if you want to be able to give us suggestions on the sort of stuff that we can make and cover, have a look at our Patreon. Consider chucking us a few quid every month to support what we do and keep us in interesting things to look at. Be very much appreciated. Thanks again, James, for your recommendation. It was great writing it. I'm looking forward to playing that list. We had a lot of fun with it. Subscribe responsibly. All that jazz.
We're nearly at 1,000. We're desperately trying to hit 1,000, but
it looks like we're probably going to miss it by the end of the year at this rate. But we'll keep giving it a go.
We'll keep trying. But yeah,
tell a friend.
Thanks for watching. Tell a friend.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace.